Alright, for this video we're going to be able to subtract fractions including mixed numbers and improper fractions. And this is very similar to adding fractions. And so I'm going to put up these steps again for you if you would like to copy them down again if you don't have them already. But they're pretty much the same exact thing, except for you can see I even saved paper by writing in subtract instead of add. So those are the steps, same ones. Again, there are other ways to do this. I'll show you another one later in the video, but those steps, if you go through all of those, you should be okay, even if it takes you a little bit longer, that you can still subtract fractions that way. So the first one we will do is 7/12 minus 5/12. Well, denominators are the same, so we can go ahead and just skip down all the way to step 4, and 7 minus 5 is 2, and that would be 2/12. Adding and subtracting into fractions, you keep the denominator the same, and this simplifies, we know, to 1/6, which is should be part of step 5. Again, I forgot to write that, but step 5, we always want to simplify. This is always the last thing we do. And then we can check our answer. This one's a little bit above, what do you say, a little bit more than half. This one's a little bit less than half. So we should get a pretty small number over here, which 2/12 and 1/6 is. So that's a rough way to estimate, I suppose. Let's do another one that maybe is a little bit more difficult. 4 3/10 minus 1 17/20. Well, for this one, we see that the denominators are not the same, and these also are mixed numbers, so we will first make them into improper fractions. So 4 times 10 is 40, plus 3 is 43/10, minus 20 times 1 is 20, plus 17 is 37/20. Now we need to find the least common multiple of the two denominators, and again we called it the least common denominator. And it looks like it's going to be 20, so the only fraction that we have to change is the first one, which we'll need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2. Okay, so 43 times 2 is 86, and 10 times 2 is 20, minus 37/20. And let's see, if we subtract that out, we will get 86 minus 37 is 49, I believe, over 20. And then we will get, simplify this to 2 and 9/20, and I believe that will be our final answer. And we can go ahead and check this. If we look at the top, we have 4 and a little bit less than half, minus 1 and almost 2, really. So 4 minus 4 and a little bit of change, minus almost 2, going to give us 2 and a little bit of change. And so that's about correct. Again, I think I showed you on the addition one how we could do this, 4 minus 1 and then 3/10 minus 17/20. And we'll do one like that in just a second. Okay, and so the last one that I want to show you, we'll do just a few different things with this, kind of just to make some different points. Let's have 7 and 5/6 minus 3 and 11/14. Now again, sorry about that glare right there. Again, you know, I've already worked some of this math out, so I'm not doing it in my head. I don't expect you to do it in your head, but for the sake of time, we'll just go through these steps here. So we do have mixed numbers. We do need to turn those into improper fractions. 6 times 7 is 42. 42 plus 5 is 47. Okay, and then 13 times 4, what would that be? 42. 42 plus 11 is 53 over 14. Now, we could find the least common multiple of these by using the cake method over here. 6 and 14. I think you can pull out a 2. You're left with 3 and 7. And then 2 times 3 times 7. The least common multiple equals 42. So in order to get this denominator to be 42, we'll multiply the top and the bottom by 6. Multiply the top and the bottom by 7. And we will multiply the top and the bottom of this by 3. Okay, so 47 times 7. Again, I worked this out earlier, but you could do it on the side of your paper if you couldn't do it in your head. 329 over 42. And 53 times 3 is 159, and that's over 42. Now we'll subtract 329 minus 159, and we will get 170 over 42. And again, if we were to divide that out, and you could do that and pause it if you want to check and see if you get the correct answer, that would be a good thing to do. But if not, I'll just go ahead and tell you that 42 goes in evenly 4 times, and you have a remainder of 2 over 42. And of course, last but not least, we want to simplify that to 4 over 21. And then I guess the real last step is to check our answer. Up here we had 7 and about a little over half minus 3 and a little bit over half, and down here we have about 4 and just a tiny bit of change. So I think that's a pretty good estimate here of the correct answer. Okay, now let's just manipulate this a little bit. Let me show you two things here. If you already have that, let's say instead of well, let's do this. Let's do the way I showed you with the 7 minus 3 is 4. 7 minus 3 is 4. And then we have left over 5, 6 minus 11 over 14. If we did it this way, then we could multiply this top and the bottom by 7, this top and the bottom by 3, and we have this 4 over here, and we have 35 over 42 minus 33 over 42. Again, this is extra for those of you guys who want to do it this way. You don't have to do it this way. Just wanted to point it out though to you. And then we have, this becomes just 2 over 42, and we just keep bringing down this 4 and 4 over 21. Now, that kind of works out somewhat easily. Let's say, for example, though, that instead of this 11 over 14, we had 13 over 14. So you had 7 and 5/6 minus 3 and 13 over 14. Here it gets a little tricky because we can do 7 minus 3 is 4. Okay, and then we have a leftover of 5, 6, 7 minus 3 is 4, right? 5, 6 minus 13 over 14. Well, see what happens when we convert this or make these equivalent fractions. We have 4, and then we have 35 over 42 minus 39 over 42. And so now all of a sudden this numerator is smaller than this numerator. So we're going to end up with a negative fraction over here. So how we can mitigate that is to borrow from this 4. We know this 4, we could call this 3, and then another 1 whole would be 42 over 42. And you see how 3 and 42 over 42 is the same thing as 4. And then we have this 35 over 42 that we could add to that. So 3 plus 42 over 42 plus 35 over 42 is the same thing as 4 plus 35 over 42. I don't know if you can kind of see that or not. And then we have 39 over 42. So 42, this 42 plus this 35 is 77 over 42 minus 39 over 42. Now that's a problem that we can do because this is now larger than this number. And if you do that, you'll end up with 38 over 42. Remember bringing the 3 down. And again, we just simplify that to be, I think it will be 19, I'm still on the screen, 19 over 21. Okay, again, we didn't get the same answer as here because we changed this from 3 and 11 over 14 to 3 and 13 over 14. But I wanted to show you that how to borrow from the whole number if you want to do it that way. You can always look at more videos and other places that will teach you this kind of thing as well. But that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.